Welcome to thestockminer.com here in the chilly Black Hills of South Dakota. I am still your stockminer, Brian Johnson, and another push up by the Bulls today. So, a very strong week overall, really, for the Bulls. They did very well again today, climbing up and over some of these resistance areas we had discussed yesterday, but not getting above, of course, Mount Everest. We're not there yet. We're getting awful darn close. But breaking some of these entries, if you've been following along, you made a little bit of money this week. You absolutely should have made a little bit of money this week. The subscribers, of course, have a few more lines drawn in, and I give them a lot more exact entries and exits. We did pretty well this week overall. Both from a stock standpoint and an indices standpoint. A lot of it coming on these breaks to these higher levels. So you can see the bulls working their way up. Everything up again today, with the Dow being a little bit stronger than the rest of the indices by the time it was all said and done. Okay, so looking at the charts, what do we have? Right back up into these upper areas. We're getting close. Not quite there yet, but close to that 12,300 area. Certainly something to watch coming into next week. But let's just talk about what we saw this week, and that was a major push up and over what we consider to be here the inverse head and shoulders area. And from that point, slight pullback, and the bulls brought it right back in again. Very clear from the daily. Once again, the strong move for the week, breaking all kinds of levels on the way back up. And also playing by what I call perfect technical analysis rules, running into overhead resistance and stopping. So we saw a lot of that here. Hit the overhead markers, wander sideways, get above it, then travel upwards into some of this overhead resistance here. So by the end of the week, we were up considerably in the markets. You can see the big push up, back above all of these moving averages, kind of undoing what we saw the bears do here, actually over these past few days. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days here where we ran it downwards, and while it did take it a little bit longer to get back up, which has been typical for the bulls, they managed to erase all of the losses that we saw earlier on in the month. So bulls are not ready to go away yet, guys, and a lot of this action we saw here predicated what we saw within the other markets. Here we have breaks above some upper resistance levels coming back by the end of the day to hold them, and from a daily you can see right at on around that 50-day moving average. So backing it up 5 days, you can see a very hard push towards the end of the week for the NASDAQ. Really two really strong days here, and that would have been Wednesday, Thursday into Friday today. Putting in, yeah, we can call that whatever candle we want to, but the point of it is a good move by the NASDAQ coming to get back up into these overhead areas. Not quite as strong as what we're seeing on the other indices, whereas those are up into this area. NASDAQ still a little bit behind where they are at. And from a weekly, though, back above, more importantly, this 20-week moving average. I said the bulls are going to want to hold that. Sure enough, they got started on Wednesday and really push this thing up to finish up in these levels. So now that the week is over, you can see clearly above that 20-week moving average and back in a control area for the bulls. Not out of the woods quite yet, but really, really close. Any more of this type of action next week, and we will certainly, probably you and I will be talking about higher prices within the first few days of the week. If this bullishness continues early on. So holding these lower levels of support. You can see the break here, a retest and a perfect hold of it here, only to get right back above it by the end of the week. Everything's strong from the SPX side, and as well as it came up into some overhead area right around that 1320-ish area. Lots of good entries along the week. My entries for my subscribers were to really watch hard the 1300 to 1305 mark, and then look for some entries above 1305 for resistance at 1310, and then another break above 1310 to the 1315 area, and then above 1315 again, back into 1320. So we watched this and played this pretty well. We weren't able to necessarily pull 20, 30 points out of it in any one move, but we knew where overhead resistance was going to be, and it held and worked very, very nicely. So the inverse head and shoulders, is it legit? Yeah. This has me in a little bit of caution here because we came back below the neckline, but for all practical purposes, it's working out very, very well. Nothing broken yet from the bull side. From a daily standpoint as well, getting up and above the moving averages and all this overhead area. This was the big mess that I had my subscribers watching very, very closely. This is where we got most of our profits from here, was on this break with the high base formation. High base slash pullback, depending on how you want to look at that, and then a break above these areas leading to some more bullish action here. So still lagging a teeny bit behind the Dow, but doing very, very well as overall. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 takes us all the way back to start the week at about 1280-ish and finish a good 30 points higher by the time it was all said and done. VIX also down, but look, by the end of the day, almost back to where we started the whole thing. So the VIX did start down. Looked like it was going to maybe make a push to get back inside and below some of this lower area, only to come back and finish right around 18, which is kind of where we closed yesterday, right at 18. So not a big change today for the VIX. And once again, holding this upper blue line. So we're not in the 19 to 20-ish area. I'm going to start to kind of exhale a little bit. If you're a bull, that's good. You want to see the VIX getting lower. But still holding this upper blue line, and holds of that line a few weeks ago led to some very nice volatility. Now, is it over with yet? Still anyone's guess. But from a VIX standpoint, really, you got to kind of start to clear out the fear and the worry at this point until we see that motion back into the 19 to 20 area. Overall, though, let's just take a look at the bigger picture. Down 27% for the week. Strong move by the VIX. Lots of fear pouring out of the markets. And you could see it in the options, too. If you played any of these days where it fell really, really hard, depending on which side you were on, you might have made profits from the options side, but you could tell that you weren't making as much because the volatility was pouring out of the markets during the 2 days where we really ran hard. Okay, so Apple did get up and over these areas. This was, I hope you guys were following along. I've been preaching these entries to you forever, and we got one today. Right at the very, very open, had a very nice break up and above this 347, 348-ish mark, taking us right back into where? The 352, 352.50 area. Had it marked here on the chart. Now, more conservative traders might have wanted to wait until we got up and over that 353-ish area. Would not have blamed you. If you didn't get any of this, that's okay. But from a day trader standpoint, man, I hope you caught some of this. This was a fantastic run. Just a fantastic run. I really do like to play Apple. I like to play it via the options. Lots of good, quick money to be made if you're really familiar with what you're doing there within Apple. Back above these moving averages. This was my mark. Told you guys about it and held very, very well. Once we got that break above it, I said, watch where it gaps. We gapped right up and above it, and it was straight up from that point on. Lots of bears covering, bulls coming in, pushing this thing higher, finishing with a very nice profit today of about $4 or $5. Should have been able to pull that out of Apple pretty easily just today alone. It was up 7. So getting in on $4 or $5 of it should have been very, very simple. From a weekly, also holding the 20-week moving average, and maybe trying to make its push back up into here. Talk more about that on the weekend, but let's just look at the bigger overall picture, and that is for the week up 6, almost 6.5%. Strong move in Apple. Really, really good ones to watch here, guys. Hope you were playing along. FAS, FAZ went nowhere. We had almost a break over $30.05. Not really definite for me. But we almost had a break to the upside here, but both FAS and FAZ ended up basically flat for the day, not really going anywhere if you take a look at the overall trading. So the ticker will show you it was up or it was down, depending on which one you're looking at. But let's take a look at the bigger picture, and that is hit the overhead area of what? 20-day moving average. Thank you very much. Right at $30. Got just a touch above it before running back below it, and by the end of the day, bulls and the bears shook hands, decided to call it a day. Still no major breaks here. Really like it below that 29, back above 30 somewhere, still to the long side. But for the week, not going anywhere. FAZ then doing the same thing. It was down kind of the same amount, but no real breaks one way or the other. Holding what? If I tighten that in, you can see we're not only holding this blue line coming down, but this blue line going up. So FAZ in a very, very peculiar place here. Holding support and kind of at, on, or above resistance. So you can see it's really kind of a very, very neutral spot for me. No breaks down, no breaks up, so there was no trade today at all in FAZ overall. There just wasn't much to talk about there. So this weekend, I'll kind of go into what we're going to be seeing coming into the new week. And I want to remind you guys again, Elliott Wave seminar or webinar, sign up for it. It'll be Thursday, 6 days from today at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Elliott Wave webinar, and I'm sure that'll lead to a whole bunch of other stuff. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait to meet some of you guys. There's a little ad on the right side beside this video. Go ahead and sign up for it. On any one of my pages, you can find it. Click the link, sign up for it, get in so we can get you on the list, and we'll see you on Thursday. And then otherwise, we'll see you probably this weekend sometime. Bye.